Welcome, incredible real estate agents and investors from across the country. Today is Thursday, February 6, 2020, and this is Mastermind call number 264. I don't know if my partners have anything to share, and we do have a pretty full queue, so I'll be brief. I just wanted to bring you all up to speed on an issue we've been dealing with for a couple of years and kind of ask for your help. We had a great role play call yesterday. We only really had time to do 3 role plays. The good news is they were all different. All 3 of the agents stood up and were willing to be the agents or the investors, and I think we got a lot out of them, but we only had time for 3. At the end of the call, we still had 8 people in the queue. And we've struggled with this since we started having hundreds of people show up for these calls. We've struggled with, we want y'all to be able to devote an hour to this, plan on being done in an hour, get back out there and do your, prospecting and list and sell and buy properties. So generally, if we have 1 or 2 people left in the queue, we'll go overtime. But recently, there's been more and more. So I wanted to ask for your help. If you know you're going to participate, try to get in there early. Also, I'm often torn on when to interrupt people, but if possible, try to keep it to 5 to 10 minutes. And if you've got 3, 4 or 5 questions, maybe ask the best 1 or 2. And then, as always, if we ever have to leave anybody in the queue like we did yesterday, as soon as the call's over, just send an email to support@alltheleads and say, hey, I got left in the queue, I have a question, or I have something I need to talk about. And I don't know, Chad, maybe tell us what your question is, because often we can direct you to a good place on our website where you can get the answer. But if you would just email us with your unresolved issue that we didn't get to, and if need be, one of us will call you right back. I mean, certainly the same day, usually within a couple hours. But like yesterday, I had coaching calls afterwards, so I couldn't go overtime. And today, same thing today. We can go 5 or 10 minutes overtime, but if 10 people jump in the queue at the last minute, there just isn't going to be time to get to everybody. So appreciate your help with that. It's the good news is we got a lot of participation. We got a lot of people that are stepping up, and we always appreciate that. So just wanted to ask for your help there, and maybe things will run just a little bit smoother. Anything to add, partners?
Only thing I'd say is that certainly well done, and the real issue is that we try to be as respectful of your time and everybody else that's on the call, and we kind of ask you to carve out an hour of your life, and we know that what we're delivering here is highly valuable because so many of you stay till the very end, and we appreciate that, but we also know that, it's helpful to be able to do time management, and we encourage you to do time management, and then sometimes we make you not do good time management by going over, and you don't want to hop off and miss anything. So help us keep it within the hour if we can, and follow what Jim said. That's very well put, bud.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, and I guess you guys took it to heart because we got 7 in the queue already. Good job. Let's jump to the first person. First up is a familiar name, phone number ending in 4027. You're up first.
Yeah. Hi, it's John Randolph from Columbia, Tennessee.
Hey, John.
And I'm new in the business, and I'm just waiting on my first mailings to get delivered. So I've been putting together my expert list. One thing I had a question about is how do you find reputable real estate investor or wholesale buyers? What's a good place to go to find those?
So, as Jim mentioned, there's usually an answer somewhere in our content. If you go to the search bar in the top right of alltheleads.com, just type in cash buyers. And there's a tips from the trainer post that we did, I don't know, it's been a couple of years ago, but it's kind of a long form version. It'll give you 3 ways to find cash buyers today and throughout the rest of your career. But the ideas are, go to your local RIA is more of a long-term idea. And a short-term idea is go to the courthouse steps during a trustee sale or find an absolute auction. And I'll spare you all the details since we have so many in the queue, but check out that video. It's probably, I don't know, it's 11 or 12 minutes. I think it'll answer all your questions.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Here's the familiar, well, I guess not. Phone number ending in 4. The people are not coming up in order on the queue. So, Richard Eaton, you're coming up soon. But the next up is phone number ending in 4800. You're up next.
Thank you so much. It's Aline, and I just wanted to quickly say that I've had some really great turnout with my calls. I actually, this month so far, have already listed 2 probate properties, and it's been great. It's been I just want to really give some positive feedback on consistently calling and following up. And one of them was even from some old leads, like from November leads that I just listed.
Well, that's great.
So, Eileen, how many calls do you think you've made, and how many contacts have you made within that to get those 2 listings?
Yes. So each month I get 90 leads into my box, and I consistently call at least 25 leads a day from that, and then I continue to follow up until I've either gotten a no, or I see that it's not a potential until my new leads come in. So I would say probably 20. I would probably say it's been an average of 25 leads a day.
Okay. And what do you think your contact rates are? Of those 25 outbound dials, how many people are you speaking to?
I may get about 6, maybe on a good day 10. I think that might be high.
Okay.
That's really good. Chad, I probably need to keep track of that. I do. I just don't have it. I'm actually driving to an appointment, so I don't have that right in front of me. But I'd probably say maybe around 6.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That's right?
Yeah, that's about typical. In today's environment, I mean, if you're getting 25% contact rates, you're doing well. Just a few years ago, it was, twice that, but now it's people are less likely to pick up. So, well, that's awesome. So you've had, in total, around, 250 leads probably since you started?
So, Chad, I've come in to the program and then I've gone on and off a couple of times. Because what I was finding is in the county where I'm at, I could get up to 320 leads per month. And
wow.
I was finding that I wasn't able to really get to everything and do my regular business, as well as, this is part of my business, so I don't want to call it not my regular business, but I wasn't able to get to everyone and follow up properly on the 320 leads. So I was kind of getting a little bit discouraged, even though I had some success. So I went on and off, and what I found was, the expression, don't bite off more than you can chew. When I went to 90 leads, I felt like I was holding the reins, and I was able to consistently call and really tap into some really good leads.
Sure. So do you feel like you're able to scale back up to take your whole county, or do you feel like this is a comfortable level for you?
Right now, I would say that I keep it where I'm at, and then just see how things proceed in the next 2 months. I've had, January was my first time with 90 leads, and I also took some back old leads from November, and from each one I got a listing so far, and I have some warm leads as well with it. I still have some nurtures that I have from both of those, from January and from November. So I'd say that
it sounds like, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, what I was saying is I'd say that I'd probably go another 2 months at 90 leads per month and then see. And then I can always hire an ISA if I see that I'm, if I'm seeing success enough that I can, have somebody help me out.
Yeah, it sounds like you have multiple listing campaigns running? Like probate's one. What other listing types are you working? What are the leads?
So it is. So prior to this, I was doing for sale by owners, not so much expired, but for sale by owners, door knocking, circle prospecting, and what I did was I shifted my focus to the probate and made that more the focus, the high focus of my business, and then everything else kind of went secondary. Like it's easier to call FSBOs from wherever I am. I could be in the car in between things. So with the probate, I really feel like I have to sit and focus. Requires a lot more of my attention.
So
Aline,
I'm curious.
I had a question too after you're done. Go ahead, Chet.
Yeah, what I was getting at, I'm really curious if what your observation of the quality of like the relationship and the quality of your listings, like how does it measure up compared to working with a FSBO seller for you?
Yeah, you know what, Chad, I'm glad you asked that because I really feel like I am really servicing my clients. I've worked on having a real great resources, right? My estate sale person, my clean out person, the plumber, all of that. I've really honed in on making relationships, and I feel like I can come to my client with a great deal of resources, and they're so appreciative of it. I say to them, what I can understand is that life doesn't stop when this property, this situation falls on your lap. And now you have to deal with life. Life goes on, and you have to deal with your life as well as this now. And so I empathize, and here I am. I'm coming with resources to help you.
So this is exactly what I found in my business. I did a probate deal. I had a little bit of an aha. I did the next one, and I was like, wait a minute. How many of these are there? Because these are the best clients I've ever worked with.
Right.
And I ended up, at that time, I was spending $8,000 a month on seller leads, like on just trying all kinds of different things, all kinds of different mailers. But my outbound marketing budget for on the sell side was $8,000, and I quit it all. Like when I finally committed to probate, it was enough. I got 6% conversion inbound without even prospecting like you are. I was never as diligent as you because I just simply didn't have the time. So the reason I was prying there is I believe that you're going to realize you should probably ramp back up and taper some of the other business off because you're going to have a higher quality. You've got the skill set now, right? So your conversion rate should continue to rise over time. There's a cumulative effect to this. So that November list and the December list and the January list, come spring, you're going to start getting come list me calls off of that. And you're going to find lots of opportunity you're not even seeing yet. But if you have more leads in your county and you're finding this is a rewarding business that you're obviously good at, I would encourage you to look at least, and you did allude to that. You plan on stepping up in a month or two, but
I do.
This is something, once you realize you're good at this, you should just go all in because it is the best listing business you can have. And we're in the very beginning of a huge wave of probates. There's a huge influx coming. And once you get it established, I mean, you can hold that position and you're hard to compete with for anybody else. Even if they come hard, like when you build a reputation in the marketplace, it's yours. So congrats. Thank you for sharing and taking mine.
I appreciate that.
And Aline, we do have a full queue, but I have one more follow-up question, if I may. You're in a very competitive market, and compared to a lot of the other people I'm coaching and talking to in markets like yours, your contact rate is well above average. Are you varying the call times? Are you just calling them all during business hours?
You know what? I'm not right now varying the call times. I do think that there is definitely some benefit to doing that right now because P.S. I'm a mother of 7 children, so I call only during the day in my morning hours. So that's what works for me is just lead generating, and I have a block of time in the morning. But I do see the benefit of varying call times, definitely. Because some people are working and they're not going to answer. Oh.
Yeah, like the 10 to, for me, the 10 to 1 on Saturday was golden. I'd get so many people
I could see,
that I couldn't get during the week.
See that.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that working. All right.
Thank you so much. You are definitely in first place for winner of the week. We appreciate it. Next up is phone number ending in 0009. You're up next.
Hi, guys. This is Angela Perry. I am from the Atlanta market. I'm kind of new at this. I sent in a request for a list for my local area, and I haven't gotten, the chance to subscribe yet. But I've been working on a probate case that just kind of fell in my lap for like a year and a half, which, prior to this, I had no idea of what to do and how to do it. So just a backstory on it. I contacted the actual administrator who was named by the dad who died, and he wouldn't answer. So I got a hold of the other siblings who were ready to move, but he was named as the person, to do everything. So he's not doing anything at all, and it's been 2 years. And I'm just really trying to figure out some creative ways. There's 5 properties in a very hot zip code in the area. So these properties combined together, it's several $1 million. So I'm not ready to just walk away, but I don't really know what to do next.
So I understand, like the death occurred 2 years ago and he just put his head in the sand. He has not done anything?
No, the only thing he did was, he paid out from the dad's retirement fund from his job. He paid that to the siblings, but he has not divided the properties as he was supposed to in the will. And the second sibling, who I've been talking to weekly now, is ready to make a move and maybe petition the court to take over, because the will did say if he wasn't unwilling, that she was second in line. And, I'm not an attorney, so I didn't want to advise her on that. But just trying to think of some creative ways to actually getting him. I think he's kind of paralyzed in what he's supposed to be doing. I don't know if he knows what to do. And your program kind of, sparked an interest because you guys kind of take them through all the steps of, helping them in what to do. So I'm anxious to subscribe, but I haven't gotten the opportunity yet.
Okay, so probate was open 2 years ago, is still open. You're connected with one of the siblings who is an heir, but not necessarily a decision maker. The decision maker is in probate quicksand and doesn't want to communicate with you.
Exactly. He's not even communicating with the sister.
Okay. So, ideally, you need to get a conversation with the personal representative. Is that just completely off the table, like that you've been told there's no chance, or?
No, not exactly. Since I've been communicating with the other 2 siblings, they've told him, that I've been calling, and they've been getting calls from, as you can imagine, tons of people. But, I've brought to them several different options prior to even knowing about your program, as far as what they could do, with the property, aside from me just being interested in the one that I saw. Like I said, I didn't know it was probate. I just saw a distressed property in a beautiful neighborhood and just started doing, what I do. So I've been texting him and trying to communicate with him. He's not responding, but I do have a good contact. I have an address. It's just I don't know what to say to trigger in a conversation aside from just making an outright offer on one of the properties. I don't know.
What's so are you wanting to buy? You're wanting to acquire all 5?
Well, one of the siblings said that they were supposed to divide all 5 of the properties between the 3 of them, and one of them is indigent. He was kind of written out of the will, so it's really the 2 of them. So there's 2.
Right, but what's your desired outcome? Do you want to buy the property?
Right, I want to buy the 2 that the sister is expressing interest to her brother that she wants.
Okay. One way you might bring him back to reality. So it sounds like, and it's hard to tell, without speaking to them, but it sounds like he's just kind of emotionally shut down. And some people take years to process the death of a parent or both parents. Some people move on. It's just, whatever their belief systems are on death. It sounds like he may have gotten started and the pain got so great he's like, ah, to hell with it. And unfortunately, my father's one of those people. Like he, you know, he doesn't even move. Like we still have everything my grandmother owned. It's been moved into the attic so we could turn the house into a rental, but he just can't let it go. And it's not that we do anything with it. So a way that you might, you know, help him break through that and do what's right for the family is to just put a written offer in front of him. And I would, you know, put a legitimate number on it that you would be willing to pay for those two, and drive over to the house, knock on the door, and say, listen, I know this has been really hard for you, but I've talked to your you know, your siblings, and I've tried to communicate with you. I want to let you know I'm here to help you through this, and I've got 2 written offers to prove to you that I'm serious, and I'll help you with the other 3 as well, but we need to talk. And just see, because if it becomes real, like if he sees a price that would be acceptable to the family, and the other thing I would say is are you going to wholesale it or are you going to close?
I want to close.
Okay, then pump up your earnest money. So put like $10,000 earnest money on each contract. And that's a trick that I use to, like, it doesn't matter. You're gonna give yourself contingencies, and if it doesn't close, you get it back anyways, right?
Exactly.
So I've been able to really wake people up. It's kind of like taking cash, and I wouldn't recommend taking cash to buy a house, but like I've shown up to car dealerships literally with cash, like with $100 bills, and you can beat the hell out of them. And this, I find that it has the same effect. It's like, it's staggering, because if other wholesalers are writing offers, they're putting like $10 or $100 earnest money.
Exactly.
And I've gone as high as $40,000 earnest money on a house one time. It was a $190 purchase price, and I put $40 in an earnest mone. And I know for a fact that I beat other people's offers because they told me I did. So it might show your level of seriousness to show up with legitimate purchase agreements with heavy earnest money deposits, and say, listen, if you're comfortable, just say, the number I have in mind is X. As you see, I've left the price field blank because obviously that's for you and I both to decide. That starts with a conversation. Can I come in? And just see if you can get in. And while you're in there, if you don't get the contract signed, that's fine. That's how we're opening the door, literally and figuratively. But what you need to focus on is what emotion is he feeling, and how is that driving his behavior? It's probably fear. It's fear of being without his parents. We're all just little kids inside. We like to put on these facades and act like we're big, important adults, but we're all emotionally, we're the same as we were when we were 10. We just learned to look tougher and bullshit people, right? So dig in there and find out what's really causing the apprehension and the procrastination. For most people, it's usually just, it's they say it's pain, it's grievance, but it really comes down to fear. What is my life going to look like without mom and dad?
They've kind of alluded to the fact that there's a sense of, like he doesn't really know what to do. He's like paralyzed in it all. They didn't know that their dad had all of this money in his property, so it was all a surprise to them. So I think he's just kind of like, he doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to use that strategy. I'm going to go and take him. So the things
that'll be important to you is that like he probably is concerned with keeping his dad's legacy alive, right? Right. So you just use words like, we want to do the right thing for your father. There was a will, and we want to make sure we carry out his wishes and we honor what he asked us to do, right? Right. And you use loaded language or emotional language like that. So your father asked you to do something. So let's honor his wishes. Let's do this. And things you might need to be aware of, if there is a lot of cash, show him how he can invest that and continue to grow his dad's legacy by investing the money, not by letting it sit there caught up in probate. If I can show you a way to invest your money with cash buyers here in town at 12%, we can double your money every 6 years. So if I could show you a way to double your dad's, this legacy that your dad built, if we could amplify that times 2 every 6 years for your family, don't you think that would be a great way to honor what he left you? And you may have to get a little cheesy like that and appeal to those childish emotions that are holding him back.
He just needs to know what to do. So yeah, I thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm taking that all in. I think that approach to just go to him with the number and just to open the door and to get him to talk about what his apprehension is would help, you know, and then offer him some solutions, I think would be the key. So that's great.
Great, and please come back next week and share your results with us.
Will do. I'm going to get on the call.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up is phone number ending in 4512. You're up next.
Hey, guys, it's Richard. How y'all doing?
Hey, Richard, how you been?
Hey, I've been doing great. I started to say a while ago, but hey, I'm going to hold off. I started to say, man, I'd love to get 320 leads. I knew you guys would say, hey, all you have to do is get more zip codes.
That's right. You have counties around you.
I know. Hey, I got something we got blindsided by this week, and I wanted to run it through you guys and just see if it's happening in other states or whatever. But we got a closing coming up, and the closing attorney sent me a letter yesterday, or he actually called me. And we have to start here in Alabama. Even the probate attorney that's handling it hadn't even heard of the new law that passed latter last year in 2019. We have to send a notice of the proceeding, a letter to the Medicaid agency in Montgomery, and then also an affidavit, a notice to the Alabama Medicaid agency. Have y'all heard of that in other states?
What do you mean by we? You mean whoever's handling the real estate closing?
Yeah, yes, for probates.
But are you saying that's a requirement of the title company or a requirement of the probate attorney?
No, it's a state law now that they passed, Chad, that we've got to, like I said, we've got closing coming up next week. And I don't know why they waited that long, the title company, but no, it was a law that was passed here that before you can close on any probate cases or properties or anything that's in probate, it has to, even though they weren't on Medicaid, it still has to be sent through this so they can get a letter of clearance, I guess, to go ahead and proceed to closing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, that is a title requirement, not a real estate professional or a legal requirement. That burden falls on whoever is closing the real estate transaction, correct?
No, from what I'm just saying, it's the Alabama law. Alabama had passed the law.
No, I get that, but someone has to issue that proof. And what I'm trying to get at, you said we. So by we, you mean basically that accountability falls on the title company, correct?
Probably so, but but I asked them why didn't they send it over, but they said the probate attorney has to file all this. So I guess it's taken.
Okay, so there's the answer I'm looking for. So per state law, the probate attorney has to notify Medicaid of any transfer of real estate assets inside of probate. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. I just wanted to be clear whether it was the attorney's responsibility or the title company's. You know, it's interesting when we see things like this happen. It typically one state follows the next. So it might be something that we all begin to see. That's the first I've heard of it. I can certainly understand why it's happening.
Well, when they did that, and of course I've been now doing it with you guys, I guess, for a year and a half. And when she said that, I said, I have never heard of that. And so then, of course, when the personal representative called his attorney, and he called me and he said, Richard, I've never heard of this. When I said, yeah, I said, last quarter, and he said, well, I haven't even heard of it. So sure enough, after he checked into it and everything, yeah, it's so we have to do that now on every probate case that goes to closing. Even if they, like I said, even if they weren't in Medicaid or whatever, they should have that letter of clearance to close. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thanks for sharing that. I'll look into it. It is the first I've heard of it, too.
Yep. All right, guys. So y'all have a great one. Hey, these guys over here keeps on calling that hadn't joined yet. They all need to just go ahead and join and be finished with it.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Richard. You are one of our consistent success stories. Every time you come on, I expect you're going to have another win or two. So thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. All right, next up is phone number ending in 6774. You're up next.
Hey, this is Seth. I've been browsing your website there for a bit, and my question is actually, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I've been looking through this calling of cell phones and all of that. What is it called? TCPA,
Right.
do not call list and things like that. So, as I understand it, I mean, going through these various documents and whatnot, it appears that calling a cell phone in any manner, whether it's from an auto dialer or a robo dialer or even a cold call that's on a do not call list is a no-no. I mean, I know everybody does it and all of that, but it appears to me that there is some inherent risk there. And I was wondering if I was somewhere off in left field. I do know, like I said, people are doing it anyway. I don't think we can say that everyone's doing it and nothing is happening, and that's the reason why we should. That's a risky business proposition in my mind, at least. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
So there's two separate laws to be aware of. One is TCPA, the other is DNC, or do not call. And what TCPA basically says, that's where you can't use equipment that can hold and dial more than one number at a time. You can't leave ringless voicemail without explicit written consent. With do not call, it doesn't matter if it's a cell or landline. If it's on the DNC, you're not supposed to call it. But if it's not, I just want to be clear, if it's a mobile phone not on DNC, calling that mobile phone doesn't violate DNC or TCPA unless you call it from an audit like a dialer or a robo-dialer or a ringless voicemail system. All that said, our customers are responsible for over 5 million outbound dials. And to my knowledge, the only complaint that anyone has ever gotten, one of our subscribers in New York got a call from the FTC. I don't even know the title of the person, but it was somebody from the FTC, gave them a personal phone call and said, hey, we received a complaint that you called this number. It's on DNC. Please don't do that. And they didn't even bother with a written complaint or a written, letter or anything. So out of 5 million dials, there's been one very minor, request for them to not call that person again. So the risk isn't that great for an individual practitioner. The reason we flag those out is, as running a call center, you have a large target on your back. So we kind of did that to protect our own assets and decided to just push it through to you guys free of charge. We're eating that cost. So just so you're aware, but we haven't seen it be a big problem. And you're well aware of your risk. You just have to kind of assess that and maybe talk to some other prospectors in your market that are just burning the phones up and see what they're, if they've had any trouble locally. But in most markets, people don't have much trouble.
All right, next up is phone number ending in 5418. You're up next.
Hi, this is Rick, and
hey, Rick.
Thank you all for everything you do. It's been great. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I had a question. I know you had a class or a mastermind on it at one time, but I didn't get the information. And it was like with using, if there's any ideas or bullet points you might have for generating business on Facebook. I know what you have about that.
Sure. We talked about it, I believe, on last week's mastermind. This really, if I were to sit down and make this into a course, it would probably be a 10-hour course. I'll do my best in 5 minutes. What you need to look at is when we give you the phone numbers and email addresses for pretty much every lead, email for about 65%. If you take your probate list, sort it, just delete all the columns other than first name, the personal representative, first name, last name, phone number, all phone numbers, and all email addresses. You can delete everything else out. You go to Facebook, the ads manager, audience manager, create custom audience, upload your list, map the fields, And you won't be able to see it, but I know from back when you could see this and from working directly with Facebook, we get between 85 and 90% match rates on our audiences doing it that way. So if you put 100 probate leads in, there's a good chance you're going to have 90 of them in your audience. With an audience that small, Facebook won't tell you exactly what your audience size is anymore. But you can, if you can trust my experience, you're going to be above 80%, which is really, really great. Most lists don't match that nearly that high. Once you've gotten that done, then you need to determine, you need to test whatever your creative is. My suggestion is copy should never be more than 4 to 5 words. You should try to leave that headline in a question form. So like, need help with probate would be a good example. Or need help with Florida probate might be, that's about as long as I would make it. Less is more. So you come up with a good 4 or 5 word headline, a good 4 or 5 word this description line, have a really clear URL where it clicks out to, so you could buy a domain like probatehelp.com and then click from there onto a landing page. Now, as far as what creative to use, I find videos to be far the most effective. And you've got about 4 seconds to interrupt them from a very busy platform. So they have to be able to, you have to interrupt them. They have to be able to identify with your message. So for example, if you were to have a video with text that said, are you the administrator of an estate? And then it disappears and it says, do you need, are you finding, what, do you know that there's help here in town, a team that can do everything from A to Z, whatever that is, like keep them engaged, like switch out your text every couple of seconds and fly it in. I find that animated videos with like clear, a solid color background do far better than like pictures or videos with people or stock video footage or anything. Just, what you're trying to appeal to the emotions. So get in that empathetic state and say, what do they feel like? What would they engage with if they were on Facebook not expecting this? What would be disruptive enough that they would click learn more? When you get them to click learn more, there should be a video of you standing in front of your local courthouse. It's somewhere that they have an emotional connection with that physical building. They've been there. They were probably in an intimidated, overwhelmed state of mind when they're there. So that created a pretty solid memory. So that will help further. They'll further identify with your message because holy crap, you're standing right where they were in the last 30 days in a moment of distress. So what you need to say on that video is exactly what you would say to them if you ran into them on the street. And if it was just a conversation at a bus stop and you found out they were going through probate, what would you say? Don't script it. Don't write it. Don't try to be too professional. Act like you would act in public if you knew this person needed help. And forget that the video camera is even rolling. Imagine it's that person and stay in that empathetic state. So something like, hey, my name's Chad. I'm here to Roanoke County Courthouse today because I know you've been here in the last 30 days, and that's actually why you're here. I really wanted to reach out to everybody in the community going through what you are to offer to let you know that there's a service that's been put together specifically to help you through this, and more importantly, to maintain every penny of equity we can for your family and to get this done in as little time with as little stress as possible. There's 2 things you can do from here. There's a button below where you can schedule directly into my calendar. There's a phone number above. You can call and talk to me right now. Choice is yours. I look forward to helping you. And it's just a minute-long video that you're not trying to sell anything. You're not trying to explain your whole service. You've got the rest of your career to do that. The only point of this ad is to get them off of Facebook, to get them on a landing page. The point of the landing page is to show them that you know what they're going through and to get them on your calendar or get your phone to ring. And I would love to do that for you, but it's hard to scale. Like Facebook ads are a great place to waste money unless you're doing it right. And to do it right, you've got to be very local and very specific. So that's the recipe that works. I don't really have a vendor that I can refer you to that can do this. If you can find any agency can do the first part. If you can produce the videos, if you can produce the videos as suggested and get it over to an agency, you can have them listen to this recording. They'll be able to figure out how to do it. But that's a way to, and that's a huge X factor because there is basically nobody in the country is doing this. Everybody's hammering the mailboxes, hammering the phones, trying just working their butt off doing that. And this is a way that you can really rise above, because not many people have figured out how digital marketing works, to get the response you're looking for.
Does that help, Rick?
Excellent. Yes. I've got my own.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, buddy. Thank you. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 6653. You're up next.
Hi, y'all. This is Jocelyn from Jacksonville, Florida. Can you all hear me?
We can. I was going to say, my kids live in Jacksonville. I was going to say Duval, right?
Yes. So I am pretty new to this. I just have all of this information, so my brain is in overload right now. But I don't have the chance to get the leads from you all, do it that way. So I'm trying to do it myself, but I'm running into some issues, so I have some questions for you all. I hope you can answer it for me. So I'm working on my probate list, trying to get some leads, and I've got on my Duval County Clerk of Court online records. I was able to access the probate records for the last 6 months, just to see what will pull up. But when it pulled up, it gave me the grantor, which is, the deceased person, and then it said grantee, and then it said estate next to it. Now, this might be a simple question or answer. I'm pretty sure you all might know. It said estate. So does that mean that there's a potential lead there? Does that mean that they have real estate, like there's property, and I should investigate more?
So the document you're looking for is called the petition for probate or the application for probate, whatever that is in your county. I would recommend, if you have to do this on your own, I would recommend taking a trip to the courthouse, meet with the clerk, and have her show you exactly how to do it. There's just no better way to learn. Like, they're a public employee. It's their obligation to work with the public. Don't be intimidated. Walk in there and say, listen, I'm building a service in the community to help these families because I've realized what a need there is, and I need your help. For me to help them, can you help me? And just walk me through the process. While you're there, have them walk you through exactly what a personal rep or a petitioner would go through from day one, and then you'll have a good understanding of exactly what it's like. And then have them take you to the records room and show you how to pull what you need to get the personal rep's name, the attorney's name, the deceased name, and then you'll probably have to do it with pen and paper in the courthouse. And then if she's willing, have her take you to the website and show you exactly where to go to pull what you need.
Yeah, and I was just going to.
That's probably the best way.
I was just going to add, when we had the idea for this company 6 years ago, we really thought all the courthouses would be online by now, but the courthouses are an extension of the government. They don't do anything logically or efficiently, and there's very, very few markets where you're going to be able to get enough information online. Most of the time you're going to have to go down to the courthouse because they give you spotty information. It isn't going to be enough to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. So,
the reason you're not getting data from us, is it a budgetary or because we're sold out in that county?
No, it's budgetary. Well, for me, it's budgetary. I won't be able to do. I wish to do that in the future and soon, because I don't want to have to go through this process. But I do think that's the best idea, is for me to go down there and get some information, because, like I said, that's the only information I was seeing. I have like a bunch of records for the past 6 months, but when I click on it, it says, this image has not been released, so I'm assuming I don't have access to see the document. It tells me it's 6 pages, but there's no image released, so I can't find any information to even know if it's a possible lead or they own real estate.
Yeah, that's typical of courthouses that are online. It's not unusual. So, yeah.
Okay.
The only other thing I was going to say, like the earlier gentleman mentioned, or I think it was the earlier lady mentioned, Aline, I think it was, you could try a smaller portion of leads in the county and get them efficiently through us, less money, and then, maybe do a few deals and gradually, because Duval has a lot of leads. It may have more than you can work per month anyway. So just something to consider if you want to start with a smaller amount.
Well, thank you
Makes
for
sense.
that, because I just got off the phone call with I guess one of the people that you all work with, and I did not get a chance to ask her if there was a way that I could get leads, like a smaller lead amount.
Well, I have a feeling she might be calling you back right after this call.
Oh, well, good.
Thanks a lot. All right. Next up is phone number ending in 7976. You're up next.
Hey, it's Renee. How are you?
Hey, Renee. Great.
Good. I wanted to, just a really quick question. Is Aline or Eileen, is she in Orange County?
No, she's in New Jersey.
She's in New Jersey. Okay, I was looking
Yeah.
for more local people to connect with. Okay, no worries.
All right. That would be northeastern California, Bergen County, New Jersey, right? All right. Thanks a lot. Next up is phone number ending in 0174. You're up next.
Yes. How are you? My name is Ted. How are you?
Hey, Ted. Great. How about you?
All right. I just found out my father died about 6 years ago through a tax letter that I received in the mail, right?
Sure.
And his wife, he had got married again. She had falsely administered the estate to herself. There were 3 properties involved at the time of death. 2 of them have went back to the city for taxes. They were both free of clear of mortgage and everything. The third property is a home that I was born in, and they're trying to take that for $160,000 in taxes in New Jersey and Essex County. Went to court. I filed an order to show cause. I'm the only heir, the only child. I was ordered, the judge ordered that the estate be turned over to me and that she showed the documents within 60 days of everything that was probated at the time of death. My question is there a way I can salvage this last property, or how can I explain this, or whom can I explain this to, so they can see the situation was just found out and just turned around? Had it been known 6 years ago, I would have been rightfully paying the taxes on something that was already, you know, my generational wealth. I would want to save that or salvage it, but it was only taxes due. I also have a nonprofit, which I would have been able to put one of these properties in or 2 of these properties in and not have to pay taxes. So what would I do?
So do you have an attorney helping you?
No, because I didn't have $30,000 to put up to chase after something I didn't know about.
Okay. How many attorneys did you talk to? They were all asking for a $30,000 retainer?
Either that or they wouldn't do it on contingency. They didn't know if there was money to be left in the estate. They didn't know if they could recover. The person, she owns property in Alabama. She lives down there. And, you know, I plan on getting an attorney to move forward with a lawsuit. But until I could do that, you know, I'm still trying to be proactive in salvaging this last property.
Well, you should have an attorney do this for you, but you should be able to file an injunction to stop the tax sale on that property. I mean, you have a hell of a case, right?
Yes.
So it would be a shame for, you know, a county employee to take something to auction for a few $1,000 when
it's a lot.
Like, well, whatever it is. I'm betting it's less than $160,000. You're going to lose a lot of equity, right?
Right.
So the harm to society, is much greater than the harm to the county, which is whatever taxes they're due. And any judge who's, you know, if he gets a request to stop that sale, any reasonable judge would stop that once he figured out what was going on. The reason I asked you to get an attorney, you should have an attorney that can help you file an injunction and stop that sale, but you should also get an attorney to help you ruin her damn life. Like,
correct.
If I were you, I would civilly sue the ass off of her for doing that. And you know, you've already lost. You've already suffered significant damages. But I would, you know, you can, if an attorney knows that they're going to have a chance to litigate this And if she has assets and they're asking for that much money up front, go find you a different attorney. Because if he sees this through, it should be an easy case for him. So he can do the legal work on the front end to help protect the assets that are remaining, and then you can retain, and then you can use that to retain him to file a civil suit to go get what was stolen from you. And
Correct.
he can be paid on the back end of that. So I think you just need to find the right attorney. Talk to some good litigators, and typically a really good litigation attorney, they get paid on the back end. They don't ask you for a big retainer.
Okay,
But
so a litigation, a state attorney, correct?
I don't even know if I would go with an estate attorney. I think I would go for a bulldog litigation attorney.
Okay.
And interesting enough, you're in the same market as Aline, who spoke earlier. I was going to suggest go on Facebook or All the Leads Mastermind and say, anybody got a good, litigation attorney in that county? And her specifically, Aline, if you know anybody, you may want to share with them. So,
Okay.
I'm sure with our database there, we've got 8,000 people. Somebody may be able to make a good recommendation for you.
Okay, so I would go into Facebook and go to All the Leads?
All the Leads Mastermind.
Okay.
It's a group, not a page.
Oh, okay, it's a group. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
and there's about 8,000 of us in there, and there's several people from your county, so that might be a good place to start.
Okay.
But
yeah, I just
unfortunately, I've seen people in your position before. I guess that's why it's an emotional thing for me, because I've seen people get screwed this way. And
yes, sir.
Just make yourself a promise you won't let off the gas.
No, I won't. I won't.
I would run toward this as hard as you can.
Yeah, the first step I took when I found out from the letter, I skip traced the lady because I do wholesale. So, I skip traced the lady. We found out. I talked to her, and she wasn't trying to talk to me. So I had to go to the courthouse and file a order to show cause. An attorney was trying to charge me a lot of money to do that, but then I found the right attorney who just told me, hey, you need this chancery division paperwork, file that. I got the court date. The judge then seen exactly what was going on. He seen I'm the junior of this deceased person, and, all these properties were lost. They weren't lost due to my negligence. They were lost to the state letting her falsely probate something and just letting it sit there.
Mm-hmm.
We're not.
The other thing, the one thing I'll leave you with, if you don't find an attorney that's willing to work with you, and you can't find one that you can afford, the next step would be go to legal aid. They have attorneys on staff that this is the type of thing why legal aid exists. So if you can't afford to, if you can't afford to properly defend yourself with, legally, that's what they're there for. So if you don't have any experience with that, if you hit dead ends, go to legal aid and say, listen, here, I've already been in front of the judge, but I need help, and I can't find anyone to help me. Can you guys help? And they should be able to help you. I wouldn't start there, though. I would go get a heavy hitter if you can to get paid on the back end. You're more likely to, it's going to be more efficient, and you're more likely to win it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, we are getting a lot of background noise today. I don't know where that's coming from, but probably last up this week will be phone number ending in 2076. You're up next.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. This is Gisela, and this is like my second month getting the list for the leads, and in some of them I see that says for the PR, it says county office of whatever, and then a county management service, like Department of Public Health. What do I do with those leads? Do I contact them or just ignore them?
Good question. Yep.
So I've actually never seen one where it was the health department had what was the personal representative. Usually when you see something like that in that field, what that means is the judge has actually appointed a third party to be the administrator. public administrator or fiduciary. So if I were you, I would go visit that office and figure out what the story is. It's going to be, you might not see that again. In all the ones I've worked on, I haven't seen it. So I'm curious to see exactly what the story is, but it can be a good education for you going forward. But also, if they are acting as the administrator, then chances are they probably need some help because they have all the same responsibilities as a person would as an administrator, but they have another day job, right? So if they know there's somebody in the community that can handle all of the non-legal aspects of it and do it all with one phone call, you think they'll be interested in learning more about that? Absolutely.
It sounds like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I would, I find that like a lot of times you'll see banks or wealth management departments that are there because people had relationships with those people. I've never seen it be a public office like that, but I would think your best chance if you're close is just drive down there and print it off and take it with you and drive down there and figure out the story. See if there's any way you can help.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, we do have time for one more. Probably the last up is phone number ending in 6010. You're up next.
Yeah, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Aline, calling from Orlando, and I wanted to know, so we're looking at reaching out to the attorneys and potentially sending out an email. I was just wondering what your advice was for a nice, sweet template to reach out to attorneys via email might look like.
You'll find some success with that. We've had folks that have you basically mail merge or just paste in the docket number. So you could do RE : docket number, 34567 estate of John Doe, and that's a subject line that looks very professional that at least the gatekeeper will open. The one thing that we know is, attorneys, their assistants, their paralegals, their receptionists, their job is, they're the guardian of billable hours. So anything that looks like a solicitation that doesn't present a lot of value gets trashed. And now if you talk to the average probate attorney, they get bombarded with emails and letters and postcards every time they open a probate. So if you want to know what's effective, the time you would spend copying and pasting and setting up email is time you should be in your car meeting these people face to face because they have a ton of respect. They have a ton of respect for that, and it gives you an opportunity for them to actually listen. Chances are they're deleting your emails and they're trashing your mail. Most of them. There's some, like I said, there's some success in it, but your best bet if you really want to build those relationships, lay out your list, put it in. I use an app called Route for Me. Put it in there. It'll show you the most efficient route with traffic, and just start driving. And midweek, midday, so like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 1 to 4 is a good window to do that. But just take that energy and go meet these people.
Yeah.
If you go to 10 offices, you'll have at least 3 solid relationships, and you'll start getting referrals immediately.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask one more quick question regarding Voice Logic?
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll just to give you, if you go to the top right search bar on all the leads, put in attorney, and you'll hear role plays, masterminds. There's some tips from the trainer videos. Like before you go do that the first time, there's hours and hours of stuff on our site to help you. So if you want to learn more and go a little bit deeper on that, just search attorney in the top right.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so we just started using Voice Logic, and we are getting good response. What is a good way to respond to them to keep them engaged? Because it's a very generic voicemail that they're getting. So we just want to make sure we're not losing them right away when we're introducing ourselves.
How are the conversations going? Where are you losing them?
Not necessarily losing, but kind of getting stuck. So it's just, it appears from county records that you're the executor on the estate. If you still have property that you want to sell, call me back. So it's either they've sold it, or they want to know more about who we are, what we're doing. But
so what I'm asking is, where are you losing that? So if they're calling you back, are you answering the call?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
well, and my partner
And
is as
where
well.
are you running out of runway and getting stuck?
So she had me answer this question because this happened to her the other day. So I guess I can't give you exactly what she was saying, but you know, just to leave us with something.
Okay. Well, the answer is always this. No matter where someone gets hung up on the phone, the answer really is always the same. You have one objective when phone prospecting, and that's to create a face-to-face appointment. So wherever you're getting hung up, you need to find a way to break through that by giving them a good reason to meet with you face-to-face. When that happens, you're pretty much done. The deal's yours, because very few people are offering this level of service, and it's a huge perceived value. So wherever you're feeling lost or you don't know where to take the conversation, it's 100% your fault. But you need to figure out, how can I turn this roadblock into a reason to get in front of them? And the second you pick up the phone, every time you pick up the phone, in the back of your mind, you should say, my outcome is getting in front of this person. And that will kind of help you pay attention to opportunities throughout the conversation. Like if they say, well, it's just, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the basement. Well, great. Let's start there. I've got a spot on Friday at 3. If I can just take a look at it, I can tell you exactly who we need to bring in and help. 3 o'clock work? And boom, you go for the appointment. Or you never know what it might be, but just from the second you pick up the phone, you should be thinking, how do I get in front of them? Because that's 98% of this is just getting the appointment. Once they see the value once you're in front of them. So wherever she's getting hung up, just have her move forward thinking, I have to. This phone call must turn into a face-to-face appointment, because that's what they want too. They called. They didn't have to call back. It was easy to delete that email, but they're very curious about you. Even if they're saying we don't need help, we got it all handled, they wouldn't have called if that's true. So there's a need there, and there's a curiosity there. We've got to get to where they trust us before we find out what it is. And that's probably, you guys are, you're not in good control of your conversation, so you probably just need to ask better quality questions to figure out what's bothering them, why they called, and then get face-to-face to be the solution.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, I want to thank you. People jumped in early. We're getting ready. We're getting done right on time, and I just want to end this call like I always do. I want to thank each, and we had nearly a record turnout, well over 100 people today. So I want to thank all of you that showed up. I want to particularly thank the 12 people that actively participated. And I want to challenge each of you, take one thought, one idea, one thing that inspired you on today's call, go out and put it into practice, and come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Thank you so much, guys. Make it a great week. We will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.